it's such a privilege to be moderating this panel. I think that in general, the theme of this session, which is the application of yoga philosophy and ethical values, is something that is so close to my heart. But I think that applies to everyone who's in the yoga fraternity. Whether you're a practitioner, whether you're a yoga teacher, it really is something that we need to reflect on. Because the more and more we see yoga, whether it's on social media, whether it's on media, yoga has become synonymous with asana, but asana also just the physical posture, the physicality of it. And it's so easy for new, especially young people to associate that, oh, yoga means you are doing some Shirshasana or Nataraj or some body contortion, and then you are a yoga practitioner. In fact, it's always so funny for me whenever on Instagram you will go and you find yogi so-and-so or yogini so-and-so, there's young yogis, and they're doing some posture, and that deems them fit to be a yoga charya. So it's so important for us to have this panel and to have all of you shed light from your perspective and from the heritage of the work that you bring in, of what does it mean in today's era. Because I think as we look at the history of yoga also, from pre-Vedic times to Vedic times, then to the whole era of Bhagwan Buddha and Lord Mahavir, and then coming back to the Hatha Yoga and then the modern day yoga, that whole Ganga of yoga that has flown. I think there has been different perspectives on what is required to focus on, to bring the meaning and the holistic perspective of what yoga actually is. And how do we practice it? And how do we also attain the ultimate, Kevalya? That ultimate step, how do we attain that? And what should that look like? So I am going to pass it over to you and have each one of you share. So how we do that, we'll introduce each of the panelists one by one. And they will have a chance to share their perspective on the theme. And then after they share, we will have some time for question and answers. Sounds good?
Yes.
Everybody's awake?
Yes.
Raise your hand.
Yes.
Very good. We won't have like Dr. Sam doing all the shaking and but if required, we will do that. With that, one other last piece that I wanted to touch upon was when we speak about, he said कि गंगा जी की धाराएं लेके आएंगे इस विचार में. एक बहुत प्रसिद्ध संत थे, वो वैसे इस्लामिक फेथ के थे, लेकिन वो गीता और योग और वो सारी चीज़ों को पढ़ा था उन्होंने. तो उन्होंने बहुत सुंदर एक विचार रखा, वो विचार के साथ फिर मैं ऊपर करती हूँ. उन्होंने कहा कि गंगा जी जब सोर्स से निकली, तो वो सोर्स से जो गंगा जी निकलती हैं, उसको हम जब we take it in, या उसको जब हम आचमन करते हैं, तो हम आचमन करते हैं. जब हम उसे आचमन करते हैं, तो वो हमारी सारी बीमारियां दूर कर देती हैं. और वही गंगा जल जो हम कानपुर से आचमन करते हैं, तो वो सारी बीमारियां हमें वापस मिल जाती है. तो यूजुअली ट्रेडिशंस भी इसी तरह से होती हैं कि सोर्स जो होती है, वो सोर्स इतना पवित्र है, अमृत, जो हम गंगा को अमृत मानते हैं, नदी भी नहीं, अमृत है, गंगा जी तो अमृत है. योग भी उसी तरह से अमृत है. तो उस सोर्स पे हम क्यों कभी-कभी नहीं पहुंच पाते हैं, और वो धारा जो अब डिस्ट्रीब्यूट वो इतना डाइल्यूटेड और कहीं कहीं इतना पोल्यूटेड कैसे हो गई है? सो ये एक विचार है। और we will start with Dr. Ganesh Rao ji, who, as Dr. Sam has mentioned, is the Director of Academics and Accreditation Committee of the Indian Yoga Association. And I'll just do a brief intro because इनका सही से इंट्रोडक्शन करने के लिए थोड़ा लंबा समय चाहिए होगा। He is one of the 100 most inspiring yoga teachers in India and spends, yes, a big round of applause for that. And has a decade and a legacy of yoga and his work in spreading the understanding of yoga across not only India but the world. He has held more than 20,000 sessions on yoga through workshops, through paper presentations, counseling, therapy sessions. And besides being a professor and PhD guide in yoga and philosophy at Mumbai University and other universities, he is a technical expert for the Yoga Certification Board. He is the ex-secretary of the Certification Committee and technical expert and member of selection panel. And there is a whole line of bullet points which unfortunately I will not have time. But he holds a number of different positions in which he is giving his guidance and his light and his wisdom and his experience in the field of yoga to so many. What I particularly thought was very interesting is that he is also a high altitude trekker. And he has been trekking in the mountains for the past 25 years. And I think from being in the mountains, there's a perspective that you get that you don't get on the land. So let's pass it over to him and hear his perspective on this field.
Thank you so much. Before I start, it's always an honor and privilege to be on the stage, share space and time and thoughts with people who are interested in the subject. It's always a sacred space. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks to IOI to make this possible, to make happen this possible. It's an honor and privilege. What I shall do is, I shall mention or talk about 3-4 points on the topic of the day. Yeah. We are talking about application of yoga philosophy and ethical values. Yeah. This application of yoga philosophy in the first place becomes relevant because, as she already mentioned, all over the world we identify yoga with practices. Yeah. And in all the trainings that I have conducted, lots of teacher trainees are reluctant to go deeper into the theoretical foundations of the practices, saying that people in the world don't require those theoretical foundations, so I am teaching those theoretical foundations. So that philosophy is actually ignored, neglected completely, because identification is with the practices. So the topic becomes very relevant the moment we talk about yoga philosophy, because yoga is first of all a philosophy. Yeah. The second part of the topic is application of yoga philosophy. This application can be asked in the context of any philosophy, because almost all the philosophies are views of life. And if a philosophy provides a particular view of life, then the question happens, how do we attain to the goal that view of life presents? None of the philosophies have specific practices which will take to the goal of life which the philosophy presents. In other words, most of the philosophies are views of life. And in this context, yoga becomes unique because it's not only a view of life, it is also a way of life. So, within the yoga philosophy are the practices which take you towards the view that is presented by the philosophy and enable you to reach to the goal. Now the question happens of application of this philosophy. That is the main question of the topic today. If we take the term philosophy itself, philosophy is a Greek word coming from philo and sophia, which means love of wisdom. So philosophy is a love of wisdom. And one has to be very clear when you use the word wisdom and differentiate it with knowledge. Knowledge is not wisdom. So the critical difference between knowledge and wisdom is when you add experience to knowledge, it becomes wisdom. So my knowledge, when I implement it, I become wise about it. And the implementation is the application or the practice part of it. So the term philosophy has inbuilt within it the concept of application. Unfortunately, most of the philosophy is a Greek word, so right from the time of Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, down to the 16th, 17th, 18th century Western philosophy, all the philosophies present a view of life and they leave you at your own mercy to find out ways and means how to attain the view of life. In that context, yoga becomes very unique because in addition to providing a view of life, it is full of practices which tell you do this practice, you will attain to this view, to the goal of life. So this is a distinguishing feature of yoga. It's a view of life, way of life. The second point, if you look at traditionally the classical Indian philosophy or ancient Indian philosophy, all of us know, I'm not going to give a lecture on that. We are talking about Astika and Nastika darshanas, and we know that yoga is one of the 6 Astika Shadadarshanas. Astika means accepting the authority of the Vedas. And if you go a little bit deeper into it, these 6 philosophies, now I term it as darshanas, these 6 darshanas, Vedanta, Mimamsa, Nyaya, Vaishika, Sankhya, Yoga, 6 darshanas. These 6 darshanas can be understood when you pair them. So Vedanta and Mimamsa tends to go together. Nyaya and Vaisheshika tends to go together. Sankhya and Yoga tends to go together. One of the rationale or one of the criteria of pairing the 2 philosophies is because one of the pair is theoretical, one of the pair is practical. See, if you take Vedanta and Mimamsa, Vedanta is called as the Jnana Kanda of Vedas. Mimamsa is considered as the Karma Kanda, okay, because Mimamsa deals with most of the rites, rituals, yajnas, sacrifices, whereas Vedanta, we know it's Anta of Veda, Veda is knowledge, so it's more knowledge oriented. Coming to Sankhya Yoga, it goes together. In fact, lots of time yoga is called as Sankhya Yoga. In Bhagavad Gita, referred to as Sankhya Yoga. And if you look at Sankhya Yoga, you know in this pair, Sankhya is more theoretical, more intellectual. It lays the foundation, metaphysical foundations, philosophical foundations for yoga practices. So if Sankhya is theoretical, automatically yoga is practical. So when we talk about application of yoga philosophy, yoga by itself is a practical philosophy. In fact, it's a task to aspirants who want to enjoy Patanjali Yoga Sutras to find out in every sutra what is the practical import. Because there is no sutra of Patanjali which is totally theoretical. We normally say Patanjali Sutra is written from the heart, not from the head. So don't go and read from the head, you have to read from the heart. Practice it, you will understand it properly. Even the first sutra, just to give you an elaboration, if you take Atha Yoga Nishasana, it is the simplest of the sutras, Atha Yoga Nishasana, now the discipline of yoga. But if you go slightly deeper into it, the sutra can be understood as the Sanskrit language is a bliss for one who understands, is a nightmare for one who doesn't understand. So if you say Atha Yoga Nishasana, now the discipline of yoga, what is the practical part there? You convert this sutra, now the discipline of yoga, into the discipline of yoga is of the now. A whole new world opens out in front of you, that the whole endeavor in yoga is, can I come to the present moment totally? This is the most biggest task. In fact, in the earlier session we were talking about mental issues, mental problems. In the present, in the now, there is no problem at all. All mental problem comes either by going to the past or the future. The present, there is no problem at all. So Atha Yoga Nishasana, now the discipline of yoga is, the discipline of yoga is of the now. This way, you go on into the sutras, at no point of time you can say, I have understood Patha Yoga Sutras. Not possible. Because the more your experiences in life, the more you understand. So, in the past Sankhya Yoga, yoga is practical, Sankhya is theoretical. And when you say practical and theoretical, we are talking about yoga practices which, when done seriously, earnestly, will take you towards the goal which Sankhya proposes. That is how you look at Sankhya Yoga. Okay, so yoga is theoretical, Sankhya is theoretical, yoga is practical. If you look at the word darshana by itself, no, darshana we say, mandir mein darshan karne jate hain. We say we have a sight, darshana is sight or a vision. But in the context of philosophy, that sight is insight into truth, and vision of reality. So your darshana is an insight into truth, vision of reality. And now comes the crux relevant to our topic, is that this vision or insight is experiential to the founder of the philosophy. So for a sage Kapila, Purusha and Prakriti, the two metaphysical principles, are experiential in nature. For us, they are assumptions. With those assumptions we follow till the time we reach that and say, yes, it is true. That is why all Indian philosophies except Charvakas start with Shraddha. Sridharji quoted today the Sutra in Patanjali, Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna, Purva, Kaitaresha. Without Shraddha there, what is that Shraddha? There is a lot of mystery played in this word Shraddha. A beautiful, explanation of the word Shraddha. Shraddha is an openness for truth to happen. It's the most beautiful meaning. If you are not open for truth to happen, and you say, look, I don't believe it, you are closing in the first place beautiful experiences which are possible for you. And these are not at the time available for you. So you are accepting the sages, the rishis, who have got certain experience and say, look, they are talking truths. And that is why if you see in Patanjali, our pramana is three. Pratyaksha, Anumana, Agama. Agama is a pramana, Agama is the scriptures. And Sankhya accepts only Vedic Agama. Other Indian philosophies accept Laukika Agama also. A guru who is truth personified, who is Sattva Guna personified, will never tell you a lie, because in the first place he has no intention to tell you a lie, no benefit. Second, Sattva Guna being so high is full of knowledge there. So what the guru says, what the scripture says is truth there. Just before I go ahead, just for a food for thought, the mischief that is played when we talk about faith and belief, we talk about blind belief. And now we make faith also as blind faith. Faith is always blind. Let's just understand very clearly. The difference between faith and belief is prior to knowledge, faith is where knowledge ends. Understand this very clearly. Belief is always prior to knowledge. If someone tells me in Paris there is a Leaning Tower of Pisa, I say I believe it. When I go to Paris, I say yes. So my belief gets converted to knowledge, or it gets converted to falsity. I say no. Vipariyavati. But as far as faith is concerned, faith starts when your knowledge ends. Human intellect is limited. This limited intellect can only know certain things. No intellectual knowledge. Intellectual knowledge is limited. When you transcend the intellectual knowledge, it is experience which takes you there. For that experience to happen, faith is necessary. So never talk about blind belief, because then we equate our Shraddha with belief there and create all sorts of mischief. You talk about superstition, blind belief, no, nothing of that sort. Faith is a higher category. It's a category of pramana. It's a knowledge there. So darshana is experiential for the sages who have used philosophy. Sorry, just 2 minutes. You want me to finish?
No.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we're recording every word you say.
Yes.
Record ho raha na.
So there is a difference between belief and faith. I want this for all yoga students to know, because whenever we go abroad and teach, there is a lot of confusion in this. Look, I don't believe, because when you take science or you take modern psychology, you talk about perception is the only source of knowledge. Yes, pratyaksha is the only source of knowledge, but pratyaksha can be antar pratyaksha also. How do you know you are sad? It is pratyaksha. It is antar pratyaksha. Your manas is perceiving from inside. So you are accepting antar pratyaksha. And similarly, entire Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the essence is coming only from the 6th anga, Dharana Dhyana Samadhi. And in that Dharana Dhyana Samadhi, where prajna happens, now mark the word prajna. Prajna is distinguished from jnana. Jnana is intellectual knowledge, prajna is intuitive knowledge. That intuitive knowledge happens only when you are able to transcend your intellect there. So transcendence of the intellect is what takes you towards truth. That is why we don't talk about self-knowledge. We talk about self-realization. What is the knowledge and realization? I mean, I can know everything about me, when I was born, what are my parents, what are my degrees, what is my status in life, what is my bank balance. It is not going to take me anywhere, because this is only self-knowledge. It is self-realization. The difference between knowledge and realization is, in realization, you are transcending knowledge and going to a sphere which is the no-mind zone there. This is the crux of yoga there. Okay. The third point which I want to mention is that unless and until we understand the philosophy of yoga, our practices of yoga are poor. This can be taken for granted. If you take in the case of asanas, if you don't understand the philosophy behind asanas, your asanas are only exercises. Now, what converts asanas, exercises into yoga asanas? It is your understanding, why am I doing this? If I ask some person, why are you doing asanas? And this is what happens today, because today a lot of time people consider asanas as a fitness regimen. Now, asanas is not a fitness regimen. Fitness is a byproduct of asanas. It is not done for getting fitness. Fitness is a byproduct, not the end goal of asanas. And that is why if you look at Patanjali says, Tatha Bandhana Vighataha. By doing asana practice, conflicts in life will go. It does not say diabetes will go, obesity will go. And it's not saying it will not go, it will definitely go. But you are not doing it for removing it. You are doing it for something else. Yeah. Your yamas and niyamas. Our topic title has application of yoga philosophy and ethical values. I feel ethical values are inbuilt into yoga philosophy. Because yamas and niyamas are already there. Now the question is, lots of people, sorry to say, of earlier generation, there are some examples who take pride in the fact that I have never broken any rule in life. I have never violated any principle in life. I have always been a principled person. So what? You are still at the level of yamas and niyamas. And yamas and niyamas are only the first 2 angas. There are 6 more angas to go. So the whole question is, yamas and niyamas are not meant for becoming principled people in life. You will automatically become principled people. When you do yama practice, your interpersonal conflicts will go, your interpersonal adjustment will happen, mental conflicts will be taken away. So you are doing yamas for removing mental conflicts, the source of which is your relationship with people around you. You are doing niyama practice for removing personal conflicts. Shaucha, Santosha, Tapaswadhyaya, Ishabadidan has got nothing to do with other people. It has got to do only with you. Because as a student of psychology, a professor of psychology, I can tell you mental conflicts are less when you take conflicts with people around. Mental conflicts are more when you take yourself. All of us have an image and all the time we protect that image. In the beginning when we have that image, we are aware that this is my image. But in course of time, my image and my reality gets one. I forget that this was in the first place image. It was not my reality. But after some time, my image becomes my reality, and now you are in deep trouble. These conscious problems, these casuistic problems are more difficult to handle than problems with people around. So when you practice the niyamas, your personal adjustment happens very nice. I continuously say with all my colleagues that the only person who can give you company throughout your life till the last moment of your life is yourself. So in the first place, you have to be happy with that person. For you to be happy with that person, you have to accept that person, what the person is. And the person is not his image. The person's reality is totally different. When you get that adjustment done by niyamas, now conflicts from external source, conflict from internal source, both are taken care of. Then come to the asanas, again not for fitness. So if you see, there is a continuous thread in the Ashtangas. My last point for the day. This continuous thread in the Ashtangas is what? That the human being is basically a schemata of society, body, mind, energy, consciousness. I repeat, society, body, mind, energy, consciousness. The five things. And the angas are made in such a manner that your practices first have to deal with your social interaction, the external circus dimension of your personality. From that you go to your physical and physiological dimension. From that you go to your mental dimension, pranayama and pratyahara. From there, now you are going to the dimension of energy and consciousness. That is where dharana, dhyana, samadhi happens. So the first five angas, the Bhiranga Yoga, the practice of that is only a preparation for the practice of the last three. All the angas have only one goal. If I put it very shortly, can I control the mind by removing the disturbance and distractions, by becoming concentrated? Once I get thoroughly concentrated, can I go beyond the concentration? Can I transcend the concentration? Because in the state of samadhi, the first state of samadhi, Sabija Samadhi, the human concentration is at its peak. In that peak concentration, you attain to the essence of the object on which you are meditating. That attaining to the essence of the object is called siddhi. When that also is tasyapi nirode, sarva nirodha, nirvija samadhi. Then, when you go beyond that, now you are gone beyond the mind. So, the society, the body, the mind, now it is transcended. Now you are at the level of energy and consciousness. In the state of dharmamika samadhi, you become one with that consciousness. Your pure awareness with no chance of going back into the embodied state. The whole practice of yoga follow this schemata completely. So very clearly, and the last point, in all traditions of yoga, meditation is the highest practice. Not only that, in all traditions of spiritualities, meditation is the higher practice. Whether you take Sufism, you take Zen, you take Christian mysticism, you take any spirituality, meditation is the highest practice. And now you will see the application of yoga philosophy is not only related to yoga, it is relevant to all other ideologies, all other philosophies. In fact, all Indian philosophies, when we teach yoga and interrelated disciplines, we have yoga and Buddhism, yoga and Jainism, yoga and Sufism, yoga and Christianity, yoga and Islam. Because yoga is the common thread which is running in all the views of life. For all the views of life to attain to the goal that is proposed by that view, yoga practices become absolutely relevant. So all of us are very fortunate to be in the field of yoga. And the fortune will become better if you understand yoga philosophy and not confining yourself only to the practices. Thank you.
Unfortunately, we have a time restraint, or else I would just be like, please go on. just like, please speak, please continue to speak. And I think also just, you know, as you said, we're very fortunate to be in the field of yoga, but also to have such experts here amidst you to filter your understanding of yoga and to ensure that it's going in the right direction. Like, how blessed are we at this moment to be in the presence of such wisdom, such experience, right? So another big round of applause. And with that, we will move to Shikesi Jainji, who is, as Dr. Sam mentioned, the treasurer of the Indian Yoga Association. He is, I think I'll start from the last. He's the honorary director of the Adhyatma Sadhana Kendra, which is an institution dedicated to the Vriksha meditation, and is also working in the field of meditation and health. He has been the chairman of the Mahavir International Delhi, which is an NGO working for eye and healthcare. He has been associated with many reputed public schools as well as health-based services, as well as deeply dedicated to spreading the practices of yoga and meditation through whether it be value education, through healthcare, through spirituality, through all these avenues. And it's so beautiful because where his conversation ended about the highest practice of meditation, and it seems that you seem to be doing a lot of work around healthcare, yoga, and meditation. So, Shikesi Jainji.
Thank you. डॉक्टर गणेश राव जी ने बहुत ही सुंदर तरीके से पूरा दर्शन और उस दर्शन का एप्लीकेशन बहुत सुंदर व्याख्या की। एक प्रश्न मेरे मन में बार बार आता है कि प्रकृति की सबसे सुंदर रचना मनुष्य है और प्रकृति की दूसरी जितनी भी जीवित रचनाएं हैं उनमें अंतर क्या है? और मुझे केवल एक ही अंतर नजर आता है। इस ब्रह्मांड में प्रकृति की दूसरी जितनी भी रचनाएं हैं वे अपना काम करने के लिए स्वतंत्र नहीं है। घोड़ा घास ही खाएगा, शेर मांस ही खाएगा। आप घोड़े को घास खिलाइए वो मर जाएगा और शेर को घास खिलाइए वो मर जाएगा। उसको प्रकृति ने छूट नहीं दी। जिस प्रकृति के नियम से वो पैदा हुए उस प्रकृति के नियम से वो आगे बढ़ेंगे और उस प्रकृति के नियम के साथ वो समाप्त हो जाएंगे। उसमें परिवर्तन करने के लिए कोई उनको न बुद्धि दी गई न विवेक दिया गया। यह चीज केवल और केवल मनुष्य को उपलब्ध है। आप इसकी कल्पना उस मोटर गाड़ी से कर सकते हैं जिस मोटर गाड़ी के अंदर एक फिक्स कर दिया गया कि ये गाड़ी इस स्पीड से यहां से चलकर वहां रुक जाएगी। आप ड्राइवर नहीं हैं, आप केवल पैसेंजर हैं। आप चाहें उस गाड़ी को बीच में रोकना तो नहीं रोक सकते, आप उसको धीमा करना चाहें तो धीमा नहीं कर सकते, आप तेज चलाना चाहे नहीं कर सकते। परंतु यदि आप ड्राइवर हैं तो 0 से लेकर 300 तक की जो स्पीड है आप खुद निर्धारित कर सकते हैं। आप चाहें तो उसको 200 की स्पीड पर चलाइए, वियर एंड टियर कीजिए, एवरेज कम ले आइए, एक्सीडेंट का खतरा बढ़ाइए। जल्दी पहुंच जाएंगे, पहुंचेंगे नहीं पहुंचेंगे इसकी गारंटी नहीं है। और आप चाहिए तो उसको 50-60 की स्पीड पर चलाइए, बेस्ट एवरेज लेकर के आइए, वियर एंड टियर मिनिमम कीजिए, खतरा एक्सीडेंट का मिनिमम रखिए। दोनों सुविधाएं। इस ड्राइवर की सीट में ह्यूमन बीइंग्स हैं। ह्यूमन बीइंग को ये छूट दी गई प्रकृति ने, इसीलिए ये प्रकृति की सबसे सुंदर रचना है कि इस इंटेलेक्ट, इस विजडम के साथ और इतनी संभावनाओं के साथ आपको इतनी छूट देने के बाद कि आप खुद रास्ता तय करेंगे कि आप यहां जाना चाहते हैं कि वहां जाना चाहते हैं। यह निर्णय आपके हाथ में। अभी लेटेस्ट एक पुस्तक पढ़ रहा था मैं, लाइफ स्पैन, सिंक्लेयर का मिस्टर कॉमर्स सिंक्लेयर की पुस्तक है ये। जरा डिस्टर्ब ना करें पीछे, सुना भैया, डिस्टर्ब ना करें इसमें, डिस्टर्ब। उसने प्रश्न उठाया कि व्हाट डू वी एज? कोई प्रकृति का नियम नहीं है कि मनुष्य की एजिंग होनी है। महाभारत के प्रसंग में आता है कि जब महाभारत का युद्ध हुआ तो संभवतः अर्जुन की उम्र 125 साल थी और पितामह की उम्र तो शायद 250 साल थी और वो युद्ध कर रहे थे, और वैसा युद्ध जो अपने यौवन काल में करते थे। प्रश्न ये पैदा होता है कि मेरे लीवर की उम्र कितनी है? एक 80 साल के व्यक्ति का लीवर निकाल करके 5 साल के बच्चे को लगा दिया जाए तो क्या वापस में 80 साल चलेगा कि नहीं चलेगा? उसकी आंख निकाल कर लगा दी जाए तो चलेगी कि नहीं चलेगी? तो इसका मतलब आंख की उम्र तो 80 साल नहीं है, लीवर की उम्र तो 80 साल नहीं है, फेफड़े की उम्र तो 80 साल नहीं है, मेरी 80 साल हो सकती है। तो मुझे जो ऑर्गन्स, जो स्पेयर पार्ट्स उसको चलाने के लिए ये प्रकृति ने दी है, उनकी उम्र तो बहुत है, 150 साल है, 200 साल है, मेरी उम्र हो सकता है 80 साल। यदि उस नियम को मैं मान लूं तो मैं 80 साल में बूढ़ा क्यों हुआ? अगर मैं अपनी उम्र 200 मानूं तो 80 की उम्र के अंदर तो मैं 35 साल का होना चाहिए। यहीं पर मैं उस विषय पर आता हूं कि एप्लीकेशन ऑफ योग की जो बात है वो मनुष्य के अंदर प्रकृति ने जो असीम संभावनाएं भरी हैं कि जन्म से लेकर के जन्म, हो सकता है आपकी उम्र 80 ही साल हो, आपका मान लीजिए, एक क्षण के लिए मान लीजिए, उसको स्वीकार करें न करें कि हम 80 के बाद समाप्त हो जाएंगे, 90 के बाद समाप्त हो जाएंगे। उन असीम संभावनाओं को जन्म देने का नाम है कि जहां से मैं शुरू हुआ जहां तक अंतिम क्षण तक मैं अपनी पूरी ऊर्जा के साथ, अपने पूरे विवेक के साथ, अपनी पूरी क्षमताओं के साथ उस अनंत विकास की संभावनाओं को तलाश सकूं जिसके लिए प्रकृति ने मुझे यह वरदान दिया कि मैं मनुष्य के रूप में जन्म पा पाया। अब जहां तक वो एक एथिकल वैल्यूज की बात आई, मैं केवल उसी को एक्सटेंड करके 1 मिनट में संपन्न करना चाहूंगा, तो विद्वत जनों को सुनना चाहूंगा मैं। प्रकृति ने हमें बताकर भेजा है कि आपको क्या करना है, क्या नहीं करना। आप ईश्वर को माने न माने, आप किसी परंपरा में विश्वास रखें न रखें, आप किसी सिद्धांत को स्वीकार करें न करें, एक सिद्धांत आपको स्वीकार करना पड़ेगा, वह सिद्धांत है प्रकृति का नियम। प्रकृति का नियम है कि आपको क्रोध आएगा तो आपका ब्लड प्रेशर बढ़ेगा। ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि आपको क्रोध आए और ब्लड प्रेशर न बढ़े। और प्रकृति का नियम है कि अगर आप शांत होंगे तो आपका ब्लड प्रेशर ठीक रहेगा। इस नियम को आप, इस फिजिक्स को बदल नहीं सकते। प्रकृति का नियम, फिजिक्स प्रकृति के नियम का नाम है। तो एथिक्स क्या है? क्रोध एथिकल वैल्यू के अगेंस्ट में है, लोभ क्रोध एथिकल वैल्यू के अगेंस्ट में है, घृणा एथिकल वैल्यू के अगेंस्ट में है, लोभ एथिकल वैल्यू के अगेंस्ट में। क्यों एथिकल वैल्यू के अगेंस्ट में है? क्योंकि ये प्रकृति के नियम के विरुद्ध है। लोभ होगा तो ये प्रभाव आपके ऊपर होगा, क्रोध होगा तो ये प्रभाव होगा, मान होगा तो ये प्रभाव होगा। जो आपने कॉन्फ्लिक्ट किया, अपने भीतर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट की बात आपने बहुत सुंदर रूप से व्याख्या की। तो हम केवल प्रकृति के उस नियम के अनुसार चलें और उस प्रकृति के नियम के अनुसार चलने की विधि क्या हो, उसका नाम योग है। तो उसमें एप्लीकेशन ऑफ योग और एथिक में समझता हूँ दोनों आ जाते हैं। विद्वत जनों के सम्मुख मुझे और ज्यादा कहने में वैसे भी संकोच है और मुझे उनकी सुनने की उत्कंठा भी है। मैं अपनी बात को यहीं समाप्त करता हूँ।
बहुत धन्यवाद हम सब। आई थिंक कुछ कहते हैं कागज में सागर, आपके कुछ चंद शब्दों से इतना सारा ज्ञान हम सब पे उड़ेल दिया है। So thank you so much for that. We will move on to, मैं चाहती जितना कम आप मुझसे सुने और जाने इनसे सुने वो ज़्यादा बेहतर होगा। So we'll move on to Acharya Shri Biju Maharaj ji, who is currently serving and running yoga education programs and yoga therapy OPDs at the Yoga Vedic Village in Shilaj, Ahmedabad. His services to the society have been inspired and have been blessed by his Guruji, Pujya Swami Shri Manu Variaji Maharaj, who he has learned under, and he comes from a heritage of yoga. I was just reading about him, and he has a family of yogis. His grandfather, Sri Vishnu Prasad Sitaramacharya ji, and then his elder brothers also in yoga. And so there's 6 decades of yoga heritage that he comes from. And he's done about 36 years of work in yoga and yoga therapy. And of course other allied sciences, integrating Ayurveda and naturopathy and so much else. So it's wonderful to have Acharya ji on this panel with us. And Acharya ji, we would love to know your perspective. आपका दृष्टिकोण इस theme पे.
Thank you, Nandini ji. It is always difficult to speak after 2 legendary speakers have spoken. Now all the aspects are covered already. So I'll focus on the new aspect of it. So, what is the ethical application of yogic wisdom? Right? We are talking on this topic. So, what is ethics? And we need to understand what is ethics and how we can apply the yogic wisdom into life. Right? So, the question is here. Right? We are answering this question. So, the one word answer is given by Ved Vyas ji in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, right? Mahabharata. Janami dharmam, nachame pravrutti. Janami adharmam, nachame nivrutti. I know what is good and what is bad. I understand what is good and what is bad. I have seen what is good and what is bad, but still I don't do it. Why? Why is so? Because someone is there that prevents that to execute in your life. Right? What is that? Maharishi Patanjali says that is the chitta. Chitta prevents you to do that because they are coming from the same family, they have learned from the same gurus, right? They have learned all the same ethical values. Still, the ethical values are not followed by the Kauravas, but Pandavas have followed all the ethical values. So, presenting yoga doesn't ensure you for the ethical values. Living yoga will ensure you to follow the ethical values. So, it is the presentation of yoga is different and living yoga is different. So, we need to understand this. How we can bring symmetry between all this inside and outside aspect of yoga, I'll explain. See, there are 2 aspects. Dr. Ravji and Ravsaji and Ganesh Ravsaji and Jay Sarji have explained it very well. But I'll tell you, there are 2 aspects of anything, and that is why the duality is created. Right? One is outside in aspect, and one is the inside out aspect. So we are always talking about outside in aspect because it is all visible, sensible. But inside out aspect is not visible or not sensible. Right? We cannot sense the inside out aspect. So how does the chitta functions? I have done research on that. Right? I have studied Maharishi Patanjali Yoga Sutra again with this aspect. Right? And I have concluded that why Maharishi Patanjali utters the word chitta and gives the word chitta. Why it is so significant in Maharishi Patanjali Yoga Sutra? Because the chitta is the player. Right? Your life will be miserable if your chitta wish the soul, and it will be a good life, enjoyable life if your chitta is good. So, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. We have to understand this with the application of the same. Right? As Raj said, that application makes it worthwhile. Otherwise, that is just merely a word. Right? Chitta vritti nirodha. That is nothing. But if you go down deep into that, you have to have mastery over that person, that moderator, that moderates our life. Right? So I call it Narada. Chitta. Chitta is the player, I tell you, little, nasty player. Nasty. Chitta is a nasty player, you have to get command over it. Right? So, how you can do that? That is done by Antaranga Yoga, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. So inside out aspect is addressed by Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi that leads to Tapa, Swadhyaya and Ishupranidhana. Right? That will lead you to Ishupranidhana. Right? Through Tapa and Swadhyaya. So Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi are the steps inside out you have to start with, and you will end with the Tapa, Swadhyaya and Ishupranidhana. Then Ishupranidhana will lead you to Kaivalya Prapti, Moksha Prapti. Right? So this is what all about the ethical application of yogic wisdom, because when a seeker invents something or research something, right, that becomes the wisdom. When the wisdom is applied, that becomes the science. When science is used, it becomes technology. Right? So we can say that yoga is that technology available to all of us that can change our life through modifying the chitta in the way it should be functioning. Right? So it is the all about modification of chitta reprogramming. You have to reset the chitta. The past images, as the past images are disturbing in Duryodhana. Right? So you have to eradicate those past impressions, and you have to reprogram the chitta to perceive the things in correct manner. Right? So it is all about perception. How you perceive the thing. Right? If you perceive it to be a good for you, it is good for you. If you perceive it to be bad for you, bad for you. So this is what I wanted to tell you, that Duryodhan, one जिसका चित्त जो है वो रॉन्ग प्लेस में यूज हो रहा है, रॉन्ग वे में यूज हो रहा है. दुर्योधन उसका इसके लिए नहीं है, उसके चित्त के लिए. ये नाम जितने हैं वो सब के सब महाभारत में जितने नाम हैं वो उसके चित्त को एड्रेस कर रहे हैं. धृतराष्ट्र जिसने राष्ट्र को अपने आप रिटेन करके रखा है. राइट? दुर्योधन जिसने अपने एथिक्स को प्रयोजन मतलब एथिक्स को प्रयोजन लाइफ पे लाया ही नहीं. जानामि धर्मम न चले प्रवृत्ति, वो अपने एथिक्स को लाता ही नहीं है. सो एक योगी का एक फंडामेंटल ड्यूटी है, राइट भी है, दैट जो यम नियम का पालन करके उसके ऊपर प्रैक्टिकल योग को हमें हमारे अंदर उजागर करें कि जिससे हमारा चित्त जो है वो हमें अप रेगुलेटरी मैकेनिज्म में ले जाए. सी देयर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ मैकेनिज्म, डाउन रेगुलेटरी और अप रेगुलेटरी. सो अप रेगुलेटरी मैकेनिज्म में जाएंगे तो वी हैव मोक्ष फॉर सर्टेन, एंड डाउन रेगुलेशन में जाएंगे तो वी हैव बंधन. सो बंधन में आना है या मोक्ष में आना है, यू हैव चॉइस, यू हैव टू डू दैट चॉइस. एंड रियली आई एम ending with this. I'm grateful to the committee, organizing committee, to give me some opportunity to speak on this platform. Right? So I end with this saying, thank you.
It's so beautiful to have हर स्पीकर की अपनी अपनी पर्सपेक्टिव इतना ज़्यादा डेप्थ ऐड कर रही है हमारे इस विचार पे. So it's been wonderful. Thank you so much, Acharya ji. बहुत सुंदर. And next we'll move to Rajiv Terwadkar. He is a mechanical engineer and PG diploma in advanced computing. He's the founder of Marathi Mandal South Africa. In Tutuko Arts and Crafts, Utkarsh Entertainment, Golden Mountain Films, Neural Wave, and Neural Stream. So उससे आपको पता चला he's quite creative. There is so much. मैं कल इनसे बात कर रही थी तो मुझे लगा कि ये बहुत ही अनोखी पर्सनैलिटी है. ये फिल्म मेकर भी है. इन्होंने हीलर्स के साथ साउथ अफ्रीका में कैसे हम हीलर्स के साथ उनकी जो प्रैक्टिसेस है, उनकी जो एक्सपीरियंस है, उनका जो ज्ञान है उसको कैसे प्रोटेक्ट किया जाए और कैसे उस ज्ञान को जो इंडियन ट्रेडिशंस है, जो भारतीय योग और आयुर्वेद पद्धति है उसके साथ असिमिलेट किया जाए. तो मैं एक्चुअली इनके बारे
Some yogic energies are coming in now. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, thank you for the introduction. So, unfortunately, I cannot sit because it's very difficult for me to sit and say something. So there is a disclaimer here. I have mentioned it very clearly. So I just wanted to ask you, how many are married? Just please raise your hands. Okay, very good. So my relation with yoga and Ayurveda is because of my better half. So okay, sometimes you get enforced or whatever, and that turns out to be like really good in your life, and that's exactly what has happened to me. So let's go to the next page of slide. Can someone just... So I don't want to go into the details of what everyone has already said, yam, niyam, all of that. All I want to say basically is how we have applied yam, niyam, our traditions, our cultures, how we tried, like me and my wife, obviously, in Africa, like how we can integrate the cultures, how we can make sure that we can have the proper cultural exchange. So that's basically our work, and I just wanted to pinpoint some of the things here. I think ethical values, we can go to the next one because there's too much of overdose. Even we can go to the next one. So we actually went and tied up with an organization. We brought all the Sangomas and Inyagas. So what is Sangomas and Inyagas? The people, something like healers. We have Ayurvedic doctors here or Vaidya. Similarly, we have got yogic gurus. So we brought all of them together in South Africa to begin with, so that we formed like an organization. So we helped the organization called THO, Traditional Healers Organization. We have got around 80,000 healers registered with the organization. Now, what we do with them, like we have created a syllabus which actually introduces what is yoga, what is Ayurveda, why it's necessary, and then we introduce it to them, we compare it with their own traditional system. So there is a comparative study that was done by my wife, and we then gave them the benefits, like what you can do with your own powers that you already have, along with what we have as an Indian traditional medicine as well as yoga. So that was the main intention, and we gave them all these beautiful things, like how you can cleanse yourself, how you can do certain things like the yoga, different poses and all of that. So we went through all of that, we told, like guided them along with, like when they go to their communities, in their townships, like we have Dharavi, for example. So in Dharavi you will see all the huts. Similarly, there are so many townships. So we used to go every weekend with my family, with my kids, go there, enjoy with them, like integrate with them, maybe give them a little bit of values. So I'm not an expert, basically yoga expert or whatever, but obviously like I'm just whatever I know little bit, and whatever my wife knows little bit, we just try and transfer it to them and then maybe help them in a proper way. So now going into this work ethics, so what we have done, like we used to go to like the most important ahimsa. South Africa or Africa is quite famous for so many reasons, where you have got a lot of issues where you don't know whether if you certain areas, if you go in, whether you will come back alive. So that was certain like situations where we went through, and we were fortunate enough, obviously with the God's grace, thing happened to us. So we guided them, ahimsa, why non-violence and how. So it's not just Mahatma Gandhi ji who said this non-violence in yoga as well, and how we can implement it in a different possible way. Satya. So truthfulness, again, like I'm not an expert yoga guru or anything. I haven't learned anything. I've just done basic yoga meditation because it was enforced on me by my wife. So I just wanted to reiterate. So it's like a satya. So I'm just saying the truth. So there's nothing else here. Now, non-stealing, again, in South Africa, there's quite a lot of challenges that we get in day-to-day life. So when you go out, when you start walking around in the communities, it's very difficult. Anybody can come, anybody can steal anything from you, anybody can kill you for whatever reasons. So how you represent yourself, I think yesterday Mataji ne bola tha, she said that one important thing is give respect and take respect. So this is also part of yoga. So we are respecting others' cultures, we are respecting others, and then obviously slowly but surely we give our ideologies to the other communities. So similarly here, non-stealing, it was very important. So what we did, like I used to go to township as well as some prisons. Now identify those individuals who have certain aspects, like where they are either criminals, whether their mind is full of crime, they might have gone and done some criminal things. So what we did, like I used to go there and really teach them directly, indirectly, like the way he used to teach kids. So it's completely different perspective where we said, okay, let's go focus their energies, channel it in a different way, where we introduce them either to the songs where their mind gets diverted or to arts and crafts. So my idea was to bring arts and crafts into these communities. So you will see, maybe if we go to the next, So these are some of the, you can, bedtime, gratitude, everything, a lot of people have already said about it. So now these are some of the highlights, like what we did and why we did, our objectives. So if we want to pass on our message, the only important thing is the healers, the Sangomas and Inyagas. So we started training the trainers, which are the healers, so that they go into the communities, different communities, and then they teach aspects of yoga, Ayurveda, and obviously the lifestyles. So identifying personality patterns, there's quite a lot of personality patterns within the African traditions. So it's important to understand those patterns, personality patterns, and guide them based on what yoga postures or what yoga can be done, how your meditation can be done. So that's something which we have done. Everyday lifestyle guidance includes pranayama, Surya Namaskar. So introducing them to these things was a big challenge initially, but after like couple of years we managed to break through, and then we started training them using like yoga and Ayurveda. So we have actually signed MOU with Ayush as well, especially for Africa, and we've been working in association with ICCR. So we have done quite a lot of seminars propagating Ayurveda and yoga. So, okay, another thing, like while it's again important, like we have Indian yoga. Similarly, like I traveled quite a lot. So I was in Egypt a few years ago and just recently a month ago. A lot of people don't even know their own tradition and culture and their own like belief systems. So if you see Egypt has got their own yoga, which is called Kemetic yoga. Now when we were arranging the conference, I came to know, I was doing research. My main expertise is to bring people together and basically like, execute. So that's my forte basically. So what I did is we went all the way to the different communities. We explored. These are some of the photos. I thought maybe it's just important. Maybe we can go to the next one. So we had support from the High Commission, ICCR, Ministry of Ayush. Obviously, thanks to all of them. So this is our ICCR organized first big like yoga conference, where we had Prime Minister Modi ji, Kiren Rijiju ji, Shri Ravi Shankar ji, quite a lot of big dignitaries were there. And then we started a series called Ubuntu. Ubuntu stands for togetherness. So what we thought is, because we are doing it for Africa, so it's better to use African philosophy, which is Ubuntu. And that's what we have been using. We have been executing quite a lot of Ubuntu series of conferences and seminars. So I just thought maybe instead of going too much into other details, I thought, okay, let's keep the brief. What we can do, like there's quite a lot of people here, everyone is from different localities, different states or maybe countries or whatever. So my maybe suggestion will be to just give a bit, like maybe even if it is to spend a little bit of time just to promote or propagate either yoga or our tradition or whatever Bharat has to give to others. If we do our bit, obviously it will help not just India or Bharat, but basically the world. That's all I'm saying. That's it from my side. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening.
I think it was nice to have a very practical explanation of the work that you're doing, and wonderful to see how you've got, the philosophy aspect of it and then the application of it, especially in a place like South Africa. So thank you for bringing that perspective. I wanted to open up to questions and answers and give you a chance, those of you in the audience, to ask any questions that you want to our to our speakers. So participants, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. And if there isn't any questions, I've got a question, but I will give you a minute. Yes. I'll give it. Michael.
Thank you so much. This is an excellent discussion going on. And I would be very happy to present a little bit of work which I have been done, as I belong to the healthcare sector. And yes, we also propagate yoga among the healthcare students, in nursing and MBBS students. So right now we are also exploring into the the insight that maybe the practice of yoga or exposure to yoga to the healthcare sector will also have have a positive impact on the healthcare delivery. They will say in healthcare professionals there is a lot of burnouts, a lot of stress, and like we see in yoga we talk about promoting health, but ultimately it's the doctors who suffer more. So in an attempt to do that, we have it was government's this thing to inculcate yogic philosophy or education into the curriculum. So we have been doing that for a couple of years, and we have seen that it does increase or enhance the ethical perspectives to healthcare's delivery. And
Ma'am, I think it's wonderful to know about the work you're doing, but I think for the session, it would be wonderful if you can just ask your question. If there's a question, let's ask that and let's discuss that.
I just wanted to know if anybody else is also working on that idea or sector, and it will be very nice if we can carry on this perspective or this vision into other performing art or healthcare, other sciences.
Wonderful, thank you. Would anybody like to take that? Basically, she's asking if anybody here on this stage between us is working in bringing yoga to like doctors and healthcare providers, because oftentimes they are the ones who are actually suffering the most.
just in brief, because I find the question not relevant to the topic. Yes, we have something called continuing medical education, where doctors and medical fraternity do come to yoga institutes to learn yoga. And not only that, we have yoga programs specially curated for various professionals, for school teachers, or for corporate executives, or for police personnel, or for judicial personnel. So, number of yoga institutes are working on that count, specifically prepared programs for these professionals there.
And we can speak about that separately also. Yes?
Yeah, my question is Dr. Wonderful philosophy you spoke about yoga, and we do believe in as yoga teachers in that philosophy. But when it comes to practical field of teaching yoga, people are giving lot less time to learn about the philosophy. They want to have direct benefits of yoga by having either 1 hour and a half or max 2 hours of session in a day. I mean, they are not able to give them time to make themselves understand about the philosophy behind it, the real essence of yoga to get them to. So how we do that in 1 hour session, giving them philosophy as well as the benefits of yoga in that 1 hour only. Thank you.
This is probably the challenge that is faced by all yoga teachers.
Yes.
2 points in this question. One is, even if the people who are practicing under you don't have time, it's no excuse for the teachers not to know the philosophy. So first thing is, the teachers must know the philosophy. Second is, the practice that you do for 1.5 hours can also bring the philosophy of yoga in the manner in which you make them do the practice. For example, just to take the example of asanas, in traditional Patanjali's classical yoga, Patanjali gives clearly the methodology, Prayatna Shetili Ananta Samapatti Bhyam. So your efforts in doing asanas progressively are reducing. Not that you're not putting efforts, but your grace in your practice increases. So your mental efforts is not there. That is first part. The second part is Prayatna Shetili Ananta Samapatti Bhyam. There is a fusion with the concept of infinity. This is very difficult to understand and lots of explanations given. But this methodology explains, when you practice yoga in this manner, then only tatha dvandhana vighata, then only the dvandas will go. Otherwise the dvandas will not go. Yeah. So in classical yoga, in traditional yoga, asanas are done as slow as possible. First point. Yeah. So whether you do 1 hour or half an hour does not matter. It's not the number of asanas that you do or the repetitions of asanas that you do. It is the manner in which you do the asanas which is important. Because if the goal of yoga, goal of all spirituality, is to develop awareness. Yeah. The level of awareness is always inversely proportional to the speed of your activity. The faster you do something, you lose awareness. The slower you do something, possibility of awareness is there. So if I am lying on the floor and trying to raise the leg up in Ardharasana and I do this way, then my awareness is here and here it is there. In between I have lost awareness because it's too fast. Now suppose I am doing the asana slowly, okay, at every point of time my awareness is there. Now what is happening? What is happening is, my mind, which otherwise is distracted here and there, now it is totally fused in this movement there. So this physical movement becomes an instrument for holding the concentration of the mind. See, it is the methodology that you do the asanas is what matters there. If you are doing asanas faster, more repetitions, then you are going to exercise this part. Whereas if you are doing asanas slowly, with the entire idea that, okay, this asana is a means. I always say every asana is a piece of art and an instrument of meditation. An asana is an instrument of meditation. You can make it an exercise, but if you do it very slowly, your mind is totally meditative there. You slowly, you raise it up completely. Now, I just want to, give one thrilling fact, is that if I say the level of awareness is inversely proportional to the speed of your activity, that means the slower I raise my leg arm, more and more awareness I have, more and more awareness I have. Very clear, yeah. Now when I reach completely up and I stop the movement, what happens to awareness? I'm asking you a mathematical question. Slower your movement, more the awareness. When the movement stops, what happens to awareness? It becomes infinite.
Absolutely.
Your awareness becomes infinite automatically. Another samapati happens automatically. You are not grinding your teeth. You are not grinding your teeth and holding the leg up. No, it is absolutely peaceful, completely there, slowly. Now, that asana that you have done gives the physical benefit. Your quadriceps, your hamstrings, the thigh joint, everything is in proper place, it gets proper exercise. But at the same time, your mind is totally concentrated, it gets completely honed there. Now the asana has gone towards honing the concentration, okay, and the physical benefits happens as a byproduct. So every practice that you do as a teacher, if you are aware of the philosophy, then the methodology that in which you do will be very important. It's very crucial. Very, very crucial. So it doesn't matter, half an hour, 1 hour, doesn't matter. You as a teacher should be very clear about the philosophy. That's what I'm doing. Let them ask whatever it is, no problem at all. They will get their benefits. But you are giving them as teacher added benefits by your greater understanding of the philosophy of yoga. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Clear?
I think we'll take some more questions.
So, lot of good discussions, fantastic. In the South Africa or South Africa? South Africa, perspective implications were fantastic. So I came with an idea that there will be discussion of ethics as in practical, when you're implementing yoga programs. There's a lot of ethical issues. I come from the United States. As CIO, I think you have to go through a lot of ethical questionnaires and things like that. So, I don't know whether it's part of the discussion. It doesn't seem to be that level. Is there a way you can give a little bit perspective of the Indian Yoga Association, how they are implementing ethics at a different level throughout India? Because yoga practice is very, very, a lot of times are riddled with a lot of distortions at different levels. But if you can articulate on that, that would be good.
Indian Yoga Association has designed an ethical code of conduct. Actually, we have thought of presenting it to you today, but then it will be criminal to our esteemed speakers who are waiting. We would request our organizers to circulate it around. We just leave it there because we have already passed the time. So we shouldn't be really violating that. Thank you.
I have a question.
One last question from the moderator.
So it might be a rhetorical question, but I just, because it has been in my mind and I don't want to lose the opportunity of being on the stage with such Diggaj yoga experts. When we look at, when we're speaking about the history of yoga, and as yoga teachers, we've been told, the pre-Vedic times, the Vedic times, and then there was this whole era of Bhagavad Gita and Lord Mahavir, where it was all about meditation, and it was spirituality as, meditation only. And then there was some sages and the Hatha Yoga tradition that came about and said, you cannot even get to meditation if there isn't a level of purification there. And so I'd love for your perspective on the necessity of actually purification, whether it's actual physical, but I think especially in the Hatha Yoga tradition, there is a great emphasis on Shatkarma as a prerequisite even to asana, and then asana as a prerequisite to meditation. And so really the emphasis, because today is World Toilet Day, and it's International World Toilet Day, and we speak about sanitation and hygiene, and yoga, I feel like, is the most holistic science to understand sanitation and hygiene. And coming from this tradition with that thought of like how important it is for purification and cleansing to be part of the basics, even to understand the application, and then thereby read the ethics.
The question that Nandini ji asked is probably the distinguishing feature when it comes to the angas as given by Patanjali and as appearing in Hatha Yoga. Okay, the basic difference. Patanjali's yoga starts with yamas and niyamas. In no school of Hatha Yoga, if I am not mistaken, yes, no school, or I can be a little bit more protective of myself in most of the schools of Hatha Yoga. Okay. In most of the schools of Hatha Yoga, yamas and niyamas are not a specific anga. First point. The second point is, the fact that they are not specific anga does not mean it is not given. In every school of Hatha Yoga, there is mention of yamas and niyamas. In fact, Hatha Yoga talks about 10 yamas and 10 niyamas. Patanjali only talks about 5 yamas and 5 niyamas. Adding to this one more point, for people who are deeply interested in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, one point to note is that out of the 8 angas, for all angas, Patanjali has given definition. Only for yamas and niyamas, there is no definition. You may not have noticed this. There is no definition for yamas and niyamas. Straight away it starts, Shaucha, Santosha, Tapaswada, Isha, Pradhanani, Niyama. Ahimsa, Satya, Aste, Pratyaya, yamas there. No definition is given because at those days, yamas and niyamas were part of all philosophies. They were same. It was taken for granted. Now coming to her point, yes, very important point. The fact that Hatha Yoga does not start with yamas and niyamas is specifically because of what she is talking about, that till the time the personality is not strong enough to follow yamas and niyamas will create more mental problems than solve the mental problems. And this is what we see today in the external world with all our children. We bring up our children in nice cultures at home, tell them don't tell lie, don't be honest, be truthful. But when at the age of 16, 17 they go to the college and start work, they are thrown into a wild jungle where everything is practiced exactly the opposite of yamas and niyamas. And now that child, the youngster, has a problem. Should I follow what my parents have taught me, or should I follow what is necessary for success in life? Now there is a big mental conflict. That mental conflict happens because at that age the personality is not strong. Now with that rational at the back of the mind, Hatha Yoga says first purify your body. Remove the toxics by doing kriyas. Then come to asana, strengthen your body. Okay, that body, we have the Latin phrase, mens sana in corpore sana. Sound mind in a sound body. If your body is automatically sound, the mind becomes automatically sound there. A sound body, a healthy body, it's very easy to follow the yamas and niyamas. And that is why in Hatha Yoga, yamas and niyamas are taking the back seat. But the fact that it's taking the back seat does not mean it is not there. It is emphasized when you talk about the hermitage of the yogi, the way of life of the yogi. Yamas and niyamas are very clearly mentioned there. Yeah.
Thank you. A big round of applause. I just wanted to just say thank you so much. Can we take?
I think
Do we have time?
I think that
Yeah, because we already delayed.
Very small.
no, I
Next
think
lecture.
I would request that
Question is small, answer
Personally,
will be
we can discuss that.
It is in Yamaha name only.
No, that's all right. I think the 3 eminent speakers are very, so it will be this one. We have
It's not
3 speakers.
fair for the next
It's not
speakers.
fair.
Yeah.
We
You can ask afterwards. So thank you so much once again. Thank you so much for this panel, this discussion, and for all of your wisdom and your experience and your words. I think without any further words, I think if we all can just give another big round of applause to you.
Thank you so much, Ganga, Nandini, and the whole team. Marvelous panel discussion with a lot of thought provocation. I would now like to request our Sridhar sir to come and honor our panelists for the day. And while we are waiting, Rajiv ji, I have a question for you. How did you get 80,000 members? Please pass on that secret to IYA. We could use that. Honoring Dr. Ganesh Rao ji, I request Sridhan sir to give him the certificate of appreciation. Do we have a photographer? Please capture the moments. Honoring Shri K.C. Jain ji, marvelous conceptualization today. I just love listening to all these great people today on stage. Honoring Acharya Birju Maharaj ji, just beautiful, all the thoughts that came up during this panel. Honoring Shri Rajiv Theravadkar ji. Again, Rajiv ji, your experience in Africa, and I think so much can be learned from these practical experiences. And our beloved Ganga Nandini ji, keeping it all moving together with that flow of the Ganga, Ma Ganga herself. And as we said this morning, after each of the panels, the eminent personalities who have been selected to be Yoga Chikitsa Acharyas. In this, we have two in this panel, so I request Sridhar sir to give away the certificate of Yoga Chikitsa Acharya to Dr. Ganesh Rao ji. A very big round of applause to him. I'm just announcing. And to our beloved Acharya Birju Maharaj ji, who is also receiving the Yoga Chikitsa Acharya recognition. So we'd like to thank our wonderful panel and our moderator for being with us. We are now going to be going over to the next session, a plenary session